Sabla, Olivia Kreth, Andrew Wall, and Hunter Doherty, and my name is Abby Blixer. Today we are going to talk about puppy mills. Have you heard the phrase, adopt, don't shop? The phrase is a campaign slogan that means adopt animals from shelters instead of buying them from stores that get their animals from puppy mills. Our mission is to educate you on the topic of puppy mills and why they are unhealthy for dogs. According to the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, puppy mills are large-scale commercial dog breeding operations where profit is placed above the well-being of animals. After researching, we have learned there are numerous problems with puppy mills, and according to Macmillan on the mental health of dogs from commercial breeders, the dogs in these facilities are more likely to have health problems, fear, behavioral problems, illnesses, and high energy. The conditions in puppy mills can cause harmful effects to dogs, and these conditions need to come to an end, and a way to solve this is by adopting. We want your help in starting the movement to adopt animals, and we want you to educate yourself on where you are getting your animals from. We chose this topic because many people in the audience own dogs or animals whose health and safety they deeply care about. As speakers, we are knowledgeable on this topic because we conducted research about puppy mills and we own animals ourselves. We are going to talk about 3 problems of puppy mills, 3 causes of unsafe puppy mills, and 3 possible solutions to help lead owners to adopt instead of shop. And then we will conclude with a preview. After introducing our topic, Bailey is now going to talk about the problems regarding puppy mills and why they are unsafe for animals.
Thank you, Abby, for that introduction. Many people don't think twice about where the cute puppies in the mall pet stores come from, but puppy mills are the main topic of the adopt, don't shop idea, which primarily regard pet stores who predominantly get their dogs and animals from puppy mills. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, or the ASPCA, to reiterate what Abby said, describes puppy mills as large-scale commercial dog breeding operations where profit is placed above the well-being of animals. The ASPCA also goes on to elaborate on how dogs are bred without consideration of genetic quality, which results in unchecked hereditary defects. These defects cause many of the puppies to be seen as unperfect, which then results in them ending up in shelters or being undesirable. Not only are the genetics an issue, but viruses and diseases tend to overtake the puppy mills as well. For an example, while I was researching, I came across multiple reports of one particular large-scale breeding facility that was forced to euthanize all of the puppies in the mill and any dogs that came in contact with them, and it was all due to the neglect. And this particular situation was because of canine distemper virus, which, according to Hannah Brecky, is an extremely contagious virus that attacks the respiratory, gastrointestinal, and nervous system of canines. This entire situation could have been avoided if the puppy mill didn't exist and if the dogs were taken care of properly. Animal Rescue Corps claims that there's roughly 15,000 puppy mills in the United States alone. The condition of the puppy mill facilities are inhumane, and the dogs and puppies live in overcrowded, unsanitary cages with insufficient food, water, grooming, socialization, or veterinary care. The puppies are left with no temperature control and barely any protection from natural elements. And hopefully, because of this, you can see why it's such an issue. In reality, these animals are abused and neglected, and it's a big problem in today's society, and it needs to be talked about more. I've just provided you with information on why puppy mills are a problem, and Olivia will get into some of the causes.
Thanks for that introduction. So a lot of times people think that when they buy their dogs from puppy mills or from what they think are local breeders, they think that they're saving puppies, but in actuality they're just fueling the puppy mills because the puppy mills are just looking to make money, and so by purchasing from them, you're just further exacerbating the problem. The main identifiers of a puppy mill versus an independent, responsible breeder is that puppy mills disregard dog safeties. According to Berger in the Washington University Journal of Law and Policy, any breeding facility in which puppies are produced primarily for profit, and which keeps so many dogs that the physical and psychological needs for the breeding dogs and puppies are not met sufficiently to provide a reasonable, decent quality of life of all animals. This kind of goes back to what you guys said about the state of what the dogs live in. And again, in Brecky Gullickson made an interesting point to the same effect in an NDSU research paper stating that responsible dog breeders do not cause pet overpopulation, it's irresponsible dog owners that do. So by purchasing dogs from puppy mills or from pet shops and not being educated on where your money is going is really what's causing the puppy mills to keep growing. In addition to this, the desire for so-called designer dogs has further supported puppy mills that advertise specific breeds. One interesting article I found was that a majority of online breeders advertise having 4 or more specialty dogs that they breed, and people are going to be more willing to buy the cute like Labradoodle or specific dog breeds instead of what are so-called mutts at the shelters. And as the trend has increased the desirability of small breeds, the Journal of Preventive Medicine found that AKC, or the American Kennel Club, parent club breeders, which are more responsible breeders, 21 out of 25 of them were more likely to mention breed-specific health screening tests when compared to only 7 out of 25 of internet breeders. This just really goes to show how much that backyard breeders and what are called hobby breeders don't care so much about the hereditary problems that can cause from irresponsible breeding. However, the public is not the only contributors to puppy mills. Pet shops are often customers of puppy mills, as that's what they use to stock their shops. And as Kenny said in the Albany Law Review, that some local ordinances are making laws that are attempting to limit the amount of sales that pet shops can make from the puppy mills. And now that I've said some of the causes, Andrew is going to describe some of the solutions that we have to this problem.
Thank you, Olivia and Bailey, for that helpful background information. Although there seems to be a never-ending cycle of puppy mills, and you always see it on the news, it's never going to end. There are many simple solutions. One of which is to simply get your dog from a humane society, or if they can produce proper paperwork, a responsible breeder. Humane societies and responsible breeding are focusing on making happiness for the dog as well as the new dog owner, instead of making a profit. Over time, this will take power away from puppy mills by taking away their money. When you get a dog, there are overall benefits to your health. According to the Center for Disease Control, you have a less likely chance for high blood pressure, you'll have lower cholesterol levels, and are less likely to have a feeling of loneliness. And that reason, because of that is a reason why people want to own dogs. Now, what puppy mills also do is they increase the cost for these animals. Buying from a humane society dogs are more often less expensive than those from puppy mills. And humane societies are more likely to assist new pet owners in proper vaccinations. According to the American Kennel Association, the average proper vaccination schedule for a dog ranges from $75 to $100. Humane societies will often have those same vaccinations at a fraction of the cost. When I volunteered at the Circle of Friends Humane Society in Grand Forks, North Dakota, there were often days held where the cost of vaccinations would be anywhere from $20 to $50, much more affordable. According to world-renowned dog trainer Cesar Millan, senior dogs are also less problematic than puppies. And when you go to a humane society, there are more likely to be adult dogs that are more apt to be less problematic, and those problem behaviors can include nipping, which is the dog equivalent of teething. They're more likely to be house trained and have less behaviors that are often learned in puppy mills due to lack of socialization and improper care. Another solution is simply be informed of the topic. My hometown of Roseville, Minnesota has a mall that had a puppy shop that was in business for several decades. And just last year, it became the first city in Minnesota to completely ban the sale of puppies because of the inhumane conditions in this puppy shop. And that is from the willingness of the citizens to become informed of what is actually happening to these animals. Another very simple solution is donate to proper organizations. You can find plenty of organizations such as the ASPCA, which is an organization dedicated to helping abused animals find better lives and better pet owners. And now we will go to Hunter for the conclusion.
Thanks guys for everything you've talked about today. Today we've talked about puppy mills. So far we've learned a few things surrounding these mills, including about how the conditions are generally pretty awful and leave the dogs kind of scarred and harmed for the rest of their lives. As you all know, can tell, we've done a lot of research on this, so we know what we're talking about, and we've all come to the conclusion that adopt, don't shop is pretty much the way to go among this stuff. That way you know you're kind of helping the animal rather than just helping the owners of the animals. You're actually saving them from whatever life they wouldn't have if you didn't. Today we've talked about problems surrounding these mills, causes of the mills, and also some solutions to everything that we've done today. But first I'm going to recap the causes of everything. So the causes of these puppy mills is people who just want to make a profit. They don't really care about the animals enough to actually treat them nice. They kind of lock them in small cages, let them just kind of sit in there forever. So they're just trying to sell you a product rather than a new family member. They're just trying to turn them around and make a quick buck. They're not treated the best. They're not really taken care of. They're just kind of there for the owners to make money and then just turn it around and give the person a 100% profit. Next, I'm going to recap the problems that occurred with this. So some problems is that people just don't know where they're getting these animals from. So what Andrew said before is for decades that puppy shop was open and just nobody knew where those animals were coming from, but it was being funded and run by animals that were taken from puppy mills, and it was finally shut down, which is a good thing. And then also another problem is that the animals, they're not getting the proper treatment that they're needing, so they're growing up sick, cramped, and that's all they know. So when they do come into a home, they don't really know how to act or react to these new areas, and they can get kind of scared or aggressive towards a new family. But also we've covered some solutions today to this. The main one being adopt, don't shop. So don't really, or actually know where you're going from. Go to your local humane society or go to your trusted neighbor down the street for these animals. Don't really go and purchase them, because odds are you're not getting the animal that was the most cared for, the most loved being in the world. Because it's like it's like getting a new family member, a new child. They're young, they're dumb, they don't really know what's going on yet. They're still growing and kind of learning. At the end of the day, the price of the animal doesn't really matter. So you can have your $1,000 dog, but it's still going to do the same thing for you that a free dog would be if you just found it lying down the street somewhere. And also, rescuing a dog will mean the world to them. It might not change anything for you, but you saved that animal's life, and you're not really, you don't really know it at the time, but I'm sure the dog really appreciates it. Because at the end of the day, you aren't really buying a new phone, you're buying a family member and someone that's going to be with you and kind of love you as you love them.
Thank you.